everyone and welcome to Valley View Living. My name is Megan. I'm a mum to 6 kids ranging in age from 1 to 14 out here in the country in New South Wales, Australia. We live on a multi-gen 10-acre property and we are attempting to farm and grow as much of our own food as we can. This is a long journey though, and at the moment we are very much focused on animal foods. So we are raising our own beef and pork for the table. We have big plans to incubate for more chickens this spring and summer. And we also have a milking cow in training, and I really hope to have my hands on that fresh milk daily within the next few weeks or month. We are growing things here and there. We have just planted about 60 head of garlic, or planted 60 cloves, aiming to harvest that around summertime. And we do have some fruit trees, and once things warm up again, it's just come into winter here where we are, but once things warm up again, we will absolutely work on a lovely big spring and summer garden. Now today in the kitchen I am baking a celebration cake. It's funny because it came at a time when I was planning a celebratory cake for my daughter's birthday, but I had also said to my family, hey, when our channel reaches 1,000 subscribers, let's film baking a cake as a celebration. So both things happened on the same weekend. So this is our dual celebration cake to say happy birthday to my daughter and also to say thank you so much to my subscribers. It really is kind of amazing but wonderful to have you here, and I'm glad that so many people find my little videos interesting enough to stick around. I really do appreciate every one of you. So I'm just going with a classic Aussie chocolate birthday cake. I make birthdays quite simple and quite easy on myself. I do not set super high expectations over amazingly decorated cakes. It's just not my strength. I admire anybody who has that skill set, but around here we just go with a very simple, made from scratch birthday cake and maybe a little bit of icing on top as well, and a little bit of fun decorations. You know, we do the candles, we might buy or make some ice cream. If it's summertime, we might make it an ice cream maker. But this time we have bought a few selections that are just tasty and good quality. And I find my kids are just really satisfied with that, with the simple things in life. They also get to choose their own meals on their birthday. And I'd say we're pretty much entirely a family of foodies, so everybody really does look forward to when they get to choose what we're having for breakfast or lunch or dinner, or if you're really passionate, you can choose all three. So I've got our simple chocolate cake baking away in the oven, and because the house is empty right now, I'm going to take the opportunity to move straight on to making a buttercream icing. The house is empty because my daughter requested to go down to the playground and have a play on her birthday. So her grandparents and her dad and her siblings have all gone along to do that with her. Now, I remember the very first year that I realized one of my children's birthdays. It was one of my older children's birthdays. And the first year that I realized I just couldn't be in 2 places at once. So if I wanted to make them a birthday cake, I would be staying home from the playground or the fun activity that they wanted to do, because there's only one of me and I am the family baker. It's just the way that it is. And I remember that year it kind of hit me hard. You know, I wouldn't be able to be at the playground playing with them as well as providing that cake for them. And of course, I've looked at all the time management and the juggling and the making in advance. But the reality is, when there is a birthday happening, it doesn't mitigate the other responsibilities in the household, in a household with a lot of people in it and a lot of young people in it who still aren't able to contribute that much in a manner of spreading the workload. So for me, it's just not something I can manage, still having a 1-year-old baby who wakes through the night, who I'm breastfeeding. For me to stay up late the night before and put in those extra hours making a cake. I co-sleep with my kids. That means when they go to sleep, I go to sleep. I don't really get up again. That's all part of my self-care as well. So I know in the early days when I didn't really realize I couldn't split myself into parts and go here and still achieve these things, that I spread myself too thin. I was doing too much. And once I gave myself permission to miss out on some things so that I could achieve other things, and those things change and those things fluctuate, and sometimes we might skip a cake and just eat shop ice cream for a birthday, and that way mum can go out to the playground or the fun part, or we have like a party instead. So there's always a juggle and a balance there. But for this year and on this day, my daughter went out to a very close by playground with the rest of her family, and I stayed home to make this surprise cake for her. So super simple. This cake was ready in 25 minutes. Yeah, really good. And you can see, as I said, it's not some work of art. It's not a completely beautiful cake. It's just a simple homemade, mum made you a cake. And with the buttercream there, I'm always trying to cut down on sugar as much as I can. So instead of following the ingredients, which tend to be something like 2 whole cups of icing sugar with a smaller amount of butter, I make the buttercream with more of amount of butter and as little icing sugar as I can get away with. So I will just whip up that butter until it's pale and white by itself, and then slowly add in the icing sugar in small increments, maybe a third a cup at a time, until it's just sweet enough that it's enjoyable. And that by doing that, I did manage to cut down the amount in a mainstream recipe by about half. So instead of 2 cups of icing sugar, we found we just needed 1, and I topped up the sweetness with a little bit of maple syrup as well. Of course, some vanilla essence and a little bit of milk, and it was really fluffy and delicious. It is a treat around here. We save that kind of thing for birthdays. But I mean, we have 8 birthdays a year, and that's just in our family, so it's not that rare a treat, and we do enjoy it. One of my favourite things about making good old-fashioned buttercream for a birthday cake is it reminds me so much of my grandma, who was a very hands-on cook, and of course she didn't have a fancy stand mixer. She just beat that buttercream by hand with her wooden spoon, and her cakes were absolutely sensational. I will never live up to that. So it really is just a nice way to keep her alive in our memories. Now, the birthday girl did choose a specific lunch, and I was pretty grateful and thankful that it was an easy, simple lunch for Mum. So I cut up some potato wedges, just a little bit of seasoning, olive oil, salt and pepper, and we're going to roast them until they're crispy and golden. And then she requested some sausages as well. So that was very nice and easy for Mum. Now, generally, if this were our main meal of the day, I would want a veggie side, some greens probably, some broccoli, maybe some sauteed cabbage with garlic is absolutely beautiful with sausages. But because I was putting just a little bit of extra kitchen time and effort into making this cake and icing from scratch, I compromised a bit, and the veggies that we had were pickled. So we put out some pickled beetroot and some pickled cucumbers, some pickles, and everybody is happy with that as a side. Maybe can't get around to cooking a veggie side as much as I would like to, or maybe I don't have the vegetables in the house, I'm waiting for my next veggie box delivery. We will just cut up a huge plate of raw fruit, and everybody picks at that for the rest of the afternoon, evening, whatever. So, of course, after the birthday girl returned home from the playground where she had a lot of fun, she wanted to help with decorating her own cake. And why not? I just think this is so much more important than something looking perfect. So, we're just not really big on that. It doesn't matter. It's so much more about the taste. And I know that she will remember doing this. So she asked for pink buttercream icing, and I have had this set of natural food dye colours for ages, just ages, and they're still perfectly fine. We rarely use them, so they last forever. And these are just made of fruit and vegetable colouring. A few drops of the pink dye for her, and it just turned out a cute little pastel pink, and she was a very happy girl. Now, I didn't put anything special aside to decorate this cake, but I did figure that some frozen raspberries that have just been thawed on a plate for a few minutes until they're soft and yummy would be perfect, just for spelling things out with her, decorating with the number of her birthday. And she thought that was super cool. And then, just a little bit of free-range artistic expression here. The raspberries will be all Good job, sweetie.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, hooray, hooray.
Thank you for spending time with me today as I go about my daily homemaking and homesteading tasks. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate you watching and being part of our lives here. If you've enjoyed my content today, please feel free to like or comment or subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.